let's talk about this flagged inquiry into Morrison's secret ministries. What do you support exactly? An inquiry that could call upon Scott Morrison to give evidence?
Well, let's first take a step back and understand what it is that the Solicitor General has said, which is that the appointment to those ministries was not illegal, it wasn't invalid, it wasn't even unconstitutional, but it was unconventional. What we support is an inquiry that would strengthen those conventions and strengthen those processes to ensure that there is transparency to allow our institutions to function in the future. But it doesn't need to be a witch hunt. It doesn't need to be a, who knew what and when. This is not actually addressing an important issue for Australians. The most important issue for Australians right now is the cost of living, their hip pocket, what they're paying at the Bowser, what they're paying at the grocery counter, their mortgage repayments. This is we don't want to turn this into a political opportunity. If it strengthens processes, if it improves transparency, if it improves accountability and enhances responsible government, that's fantastic. But if it's a political circus, well, that does nobody any good.
Well, how undermining has it been to Scott Morrison? We had Christine Holgate on the program earlier this week. He was calling for an independent inquiry into her while he was the secret finance minister, and she's pointed out, which is very fair, that how independent was it if he was secretly had some power in that portfolio? Does she at least deserve an apology?
Well, in fact, she was the CEO of a government business enterprise where the primary shareholder, where the shareholder is the government. And, I think that the things that happened to Christine Holgate, we should probably put into the past. I don't know whether an inquiry is going to make any difference whatsoever. I think what's most important in these circumstances, Laura, is that we look at this with very clear eyes. There's an awful lot of opportunity to sort of froth at the mouth. It can be quite salacious in its approach. That's not going to help anybody. It's not going to improve transparency or accountability or improve convention or legislation. What we need to make sure, though, is that any inquiry that the government undertakes and is supported by the opposition strengthens our democracy and doesn't undermine it.
One last thing on the Jobs Summit, which could be helpful, is women. The women issue, getting more women into work. That could solve a huge productivity problem, couldn't it? How would the opposition propose to get more women into work?
Well, absolutely. In fact, one of the things that I'm most proud of when we were in government was that we had a record number of women in jobs, that when we were recovering from COVID, as part of the economic recovery, more women became employed than men in that recovery. I think that was a really important step forward. Now, is there more that we can do? Can we improve that participation rate further? Absolutely. Can we close the gender pay gap? As a matter of priority, we absolutely should. And if that's something that the Job Summit wants to discuss, I think that's terrific. I haven't actually heard that the women would be on the agenda of the Job Summit. If it is, that's something that I think that we would support.